All right, time for another episode of the Nerdy Virgin podcast. I took a holiday break. I hope you don't mind. But I took a break, took a week off, needed to gather my thoughts, needed to collect myself for 2022. And now I'm back and I'm better than ever, baby. It's not true. Here's the thing. I purchased all this equipment so that the podcast would sound better. And it is literally in the next room, and I'm recording this on my phone because I'm sitting next to my space heater, and I don't want to get up. And there's just something about the ease of recording it on the phone that I prefer. So I understand that the sound quality is not going to be as good as it should be. I get that. I'm also a little concerned because I'm right next, like my room is right next door to my neighbor. Like we share the wall. This is where we share the wall. And I'm terrified that he's listening in on this, or that I'm annoying him. Like he's trying to go to bed right now. I think he gets up early, and the last thing he needs is somebody podcasting at 11:30 at night. 11:40 at night. So I got to be careful. I got to watch the volume a little bit. But I'm already feeling like is this too monotone? I feel like it's too monotone. But one thing I want to try with this podcast is I want to let it flow freely, man. I just want to let it flow freely. I've been doing this thing where I was talking about episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I should totally do that. And I shouldn't give up on it, but I do want this episode to just be me talking, just having a conversation, checking in, seeing how you're doing, letting you know how I'm doing. And, the goal is that I want to be a touring comedian. I want to be able to be funny for an hour. And so I'm trying to do these podcasts where I'm theoretically funny for an hour. And, it begins with 2 people listening and then hopefully 3 people. And one day, if I'm really, really lucky and I get really, really good, 5 people listening. And that'll be enough for me to go on a tour of people's backyards in the greater Los Angeles metro area. So that's where we're at with that. I'm recording this podcast and I find that I'm gesturing a lot with my neck and my head to emphasize things. And now I'm trying to relax my neck and see what happens if I just communicate without throwing my head all over the place and allowing the thoughts to fly out of me unfettered. Unfettered. You must allow the thoughts to float out from you unfettered. Harry Potter. That's why Harry Potter was such a successful show, more than anything. Is that water damage on my ceiling? I'm just now noticing water damage on my ceiling, potentially. Oh my god, I think that is water damage on my ceiling. I can't tell. Ooh, I got up really fast and I got kind of dizzy. I'm going to have to wheel my chair in here, stand up on the chair and see if it is in fact water damage. And then I'm going to have to, I'm probably going to have to report it to my landlord guy. And my concern is that, oh no, is this water damage? I think it is water damage. This is not at all how I wanted this podcast to go. I shouldn't be doing this on a rolly chair. I could be recording my own injury here. Okay, here's the other weird thing. As I closed the door, there was a flash of something, like a flash of light. The apartment could be falling apart as we speak. Okay, what's going on? Ooh, here's the problem with doing this on a rolly chair. There's, ooh, yes. Yeah, that is water damage. Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I guess I have to report it, don't I? I guess I have to report this water damage. Oh, no. Well, here's what I like about this. I had this suspicion that 2022 was going to be no better than 2021, and it's nice to be proven right. It's very nice to be proven right about this. I mean, I suppose this is the advantage of not owning property, right? I'm just a renter. So it's no skin off my back, but by the same token, now I got a call, and now he's got to come in and deal with this potential water damage situation, which means there's a leak on the roof. Unbelievable. I could tell there's water damage because the ceiling is kind of puffy. The ceiling looks bloated. The ceiling looks like my intestines after I eat anything that I shouldn't eat, which is everything I've been eating. Oh, and it's right near the smoke alarm, too, so that might short out. This is probably all kinds of a fire hazard of some kind. Here's the fascinating thing about fate. If I had not chosen to podcast, because when I started this podcast, I just, laid down on my bed as I was podcasting, I would not have noticed this water damage. And maybe that's how the universe works. Maybe if I didn't notice this water damage, it would have damaged the smoke alarm, a fire would have started, the smoke alarm would not have gone off, and I would have died in my sleep. But now, I've survived because I chose to podcast. And now, of course, the anxiety of having to call the landlord and him having to come out and look at this and deal with it and fix it is causing me to go into the other room and start pacing nervously, because there's all of these factors are going to come into play. Number one, I'm going to have to clean up the apartment slightly, or at least, dust the apartment. Number two, he may have to come, leave work and come open the place up for them to inspect. Number three, they may have to, dig through get up onto the roof and deal with that. Just all kinds of problems arising from this. And this is the thing I love about Los Angeles, is that whenever it rains, it's just no one is prepared. The streets flood, there's mudslides. They build these buildings thinking it's never going to rain, but it rains every year. And I know we're in a drought, but it's still, even in a drought, there's always at least one day of rain. And then everyone and everything is always unprepared for this rain. I don't know, it's like they build these buildings like they think this will be the last year that it rains at all, and it's totally fine if we just, throw a couple of thatched pieces of wood up there, and it'll be fine. It's never going to rain again. It's no problem. And then it rains, and then everyone is shocked, and nothing works. Even the place where I work, at the club, the ice, every time it rains, the air conditioning breaks. The ice machine breaks. Just the rain and the moisture, just everything and everyone flips out when it rains in Los Angeles. It is a catastrophe. They should declare a disaster, even if it's a drizzle. We cannot handle it. We cannot, as a city, as a community, handle the rain. This is a downer. It really is. I was hoping this would be a more pleasant news. Oh, and by the way, it's right near where my face is when I sleep. So it's entirely possible that at any given moment in the middle of the night, water will just fall on my face. Or the ceiling. The ceiling and then water. Lovely. Truly lovely. Well, that is unfortunate. Unflippin' fortunate. You know what I mean? Unflippin' fortunate. So at any rate, and I do feel like I have to report this, because if I don't, it's only going to get worse, right? It's only going to get worse. What else is happening? I had 3 cups of hot chocolate today. I've been addicted to the Ghirardelli's hot chocolate. I've tried other brands of hot chocolate. I've not liked those brands of hot chocolate as much as Ghirardelli. I've tried the hot cocoa from Starbucks. Not a fan. It's not bad, but it's a little too... We here at Starbucks, our hot cocoa it's not that sweet. It's sweet, but it's not that sweet. We pull back on the sweetness just a little bit. Starbucks, nothing should be too sweet. It is responsibly sourced, though, so that's fair. That's good. That's a good thing. I should probably be more aware of that when I'm drinking this other hot chocolate. I don't think it's responsibly sourced. So now I can... Oh, good, perfect. Now I can have hot chocolate and Guilt. I always like a little bit of Guilt with my hot chocolate. I always like to mix it in. I find it dissolves fairly easily in water. What am I saying? The Guilt never dissolves. The Guilt, like the hot chocolate, there's always chunks of it at the bottom. I can never get my hot chocolate I can never dissolve it 100%. There's always a little bit at the bottom. It always irritates me. Why will 100% of it not dissolve in water? Why? Why does that happen? It irritates me to no end. That is why, by the way, when I was recently taking my car in to get serviced, they had a hot chocolate machine in the waiting area. And I noticed that when it poured me a cup of hot chocolate, there was zero powdered hot chocolate residue at the bottom of the cup. Zero. Do you understand that? Zero. It was perfectly dissolved. It was a perfect cup of hot chocolate. It was amazing to me. It was utterly amazing. I was floored. It was the highlight of my year. To the point that I had to have another cup and yet another cup of hot chocolate. Because of that hot chocolate machine, I will always take my car to be serviced there. I have to get an emissions test. I should probably see if they do an emissions test just to give me an excuse to go get some hot chocolate. I'm bummed about this ceiling. I'm bummed about that. I really am. I'm not liking the look of that. I'm really not. See, I have the brain of my mother, because I know as soon as she would discover that, immediately it would send her into a tailspin. The only advantage is because my parents owned the condo, so she would see that, and immediately her brain would go to how much is this going to cost? How much is this going to cost? I have to call the guy. This is going to cost. This is going to cost something, and would immediately start to spiral into that. And that would be the end of that night. Whatever we were planning that night, that would be the end of it. There was water damage in my room when I was growing up. That's how I recognized this water damage, from the experience. It's not my first rodeo, people. It's not my first rodeo when it comes to water damage. I've been around the block a few times. Do I attract water damage? Now I'm beginning to wonder. Why is it whatever room I'm in, there's a little bit of water damage? I wondered, am I like cosmically... I don't know, some people attract good luck, some people attract bad luck. I attract water damage. It's very strange. It's an odd superpower to have. I don't think the X-Men would be interested. If anything, I don't think either side would be interested. The Brotherhood of Mutants wouldn't be interested. Magneto wouldn't want that. Don't bring that guy here. He causes water damage. Yeah, but it's a power. He might be, he's one of us. No. I don't care if he's one of us. How much he's adding to the maintenance bill? Get him out of the compound. We're in a rock underground compound. How did he find a way to get water damage? Go tell him to bother the X-Men. Oh, the X-Men don't want him either. Well, of course they wouldn't. They live in that mansion. You can imagine how much it costs to replace all that wainscoting. Yeah, no one would want me as a superhero. I think we've established that. Oh, and somehow I turned on my fan. I don't know why I did that. Oh, maybe that's what happened. Maybe did the light go out on the fan? Maybe that's what happened. Oh, that's the other thing I'm going to have to do is change the light bulb. That is coming down the pike. And I don't even have a ladder. I'm going to have to get a ladder of some kind. I have to learn, not learn to get a ladder. I'm going to have to get a ladder and then proceed to change the light bulb. Or I could get light fixtures and not worry about the ceiling light bulbs. That might be the better way to go. Then I don't have to worry about a ladder. That's a possibility. Oh, I need to clean this place. I need to clean this place just in time for the thing to flood. Oh, unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Well, there's a leak on the roof. That's all that means. You know what this means? This means that somebody's going to come out. They're going to fix that part of the ceiling. They're going to go on the roof. They're going to say, we found the leak. We fixed the leak on the roof. It's going to rain again, and there will be a leak. They never fix it on the first try. Never. They never, ever fix it on the first try. That's the number one rule of when you call someone out to do anything. They will never fix it the first time. It's a lovely dress rehearsal for the final fix. That's what it is. Either they will say it is fixed, and then it won't be fixed, or they will come and they will say, I got to come back. And if they come back, then it will be fixed for a year, and then there'll be another leak. That's how it works. That's totes my goats how it works. Did I just say totes my goats? Yes, I did. Well, it's been 16 minutes. That ate up some time. I created some content with that. That's fun. Talking about my house leak. My apartment leak. Let's be clear, it's not a house. It is a lovely unit, though. I'm enjoying it so far. If not for the crippling depression, this would be a nice life. If not for the severe depression and probably some form of post-traumatic stress disorder, I'd be enjoying myself quite a bit right now. If not for those things. If not for being easily triggered by everything that happens every day that's throwing me into either anxiety or depression. If not for that, it'd be a pretty good life. I gotta say though, I'm turning 40 soon, and that's really throwing me for a loop. It is throwing me for a loop because I not only am I not happy with where I'm at in life, but it also feels like anything I accomplish now feels to me to be lesser than, because number one, I think I'm getting this idea from a movie that Zach Galifianakis. I can't remember the name of the movie, but the main character was in a mental institution, and I think he was freaking out because he was talking about how Mozart wrote his first symphony by the time he was 4, and this main character was 18 and hadn't accomplished anything and felt like a failure. And I feel the exact same way. And that the older I get, even if I do accomplish something and it becomes known or lauded, I will. It doesn't seem as significant when I'm older. Like if I had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish when I was 18, that's amazing. He was only 18 when he did it. But if I'm 40s, 50s, even 60s, it's like, well, it's about time. And even then, I have less time to enjoy it because I'm older and there's fewer, That's the other thing that's really freaking me out is that best case scenario, if I make it my 80s or 90s, this is the halfway point. That's the best case scenario. I mean, the way I eat, my stress level, I'd be lucky to make it to 80s or 90s. I could be beyond the halfway point. And it just seems like, I don't have the life that I want to have. What's the life that I want to have? Well, a comedian who's paid to do comedy, that'd be one thing. A family, believe it or not. But I don't want to have a family while I'm trying to make it as a comedian. I want to make it as a comedian first and then have a family. So it's going to be either never have a family or, at the rate I'm going, have a family when I'm 79 and enjoy that for a year and then die, which actually, now that I describe it, might be the best way to go for everybody. Because, as my parents imprinted their neuroses onto me, I would only imprint my neuroses onto my kids. So if I have kids at 79 and I, shuffle off the mortal coil when they're only 6 months old, that could be the best possible father I could possibly be to those kids. That might be a win-win for everybody. I did it. I kept the family line going. I procreated, but they didn't have to endure me. What am I saying? This could work out perfectly. I just have all these fears. I'm not going to achieve what I want to achieve, or that I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve, and then something or someone will come along and just destroy it for whatever reason. That it'll just be torn apart. It will be destroyed. I don't know, I'll say or do something stupid and then get canceled. These are all these fears that I have. And they're fears that may or may not even exist. But I'm just obsessed with all the things that could go wrong, and that's what's getting in my way. I just have to let go of all that, and on an intellectual level, I recognize that, but on an emotional level, I don't. Not even that I know. I recognize it on an emotional level. If it's just for whatever reason, I just choose to ignore it and panic nonetheless. That is crazy. That is called a classic fear of success. My fear is I become successful and then I self-destruct. The fear of a possible future that isn't even real is the opposite of. I am doing the exact opposite of Buddhism. I am the opposite. If Buddha is levitating by the Bodhi tree and there's a golden aura around him, I am 5 feet below the ground, upside down, just in the opposite direction. And if I were to encounter the Buddha would say, "I think you need stay away from me. You cause water damage wherever you go. We're outside, and somehow there's water damage already." Do you like that callback? I like that callback. Oh, we're 22 minutes in. Do I keep going? I'm not sure. I don't want to overstay my welcome with you. This is not a traditional podcast. I mean, in the sense, well, Bill Burr does rambles. Oh, Bill Burr can ramble. Why can't I? What one man can do, another man can do. That's what Anthony Hopkins said in that movie, The Edge. What one man can do, another man can do. And that's true. I can do what Bill Burr can do. The question is, will anyone care? And is it as good as what Bill Burr is doing? That's the $64,000 question right there, because he, he's got that voice and that passion. And my concern is that I'm so monotone, I have not changed tone the entire way through. I also feel like I'm holding back vocally because it is 11:30 at night and I don't want to wake the neighbors. Cops come to the door. We got a report that you were podcasting, and in the city of Burbank, you need to realize that there is a law that states that you cannot podcast after 9 p.m., 8 p.m. on weeknights. So we're going to have to take you downtown. Your Honor, I would hardly call what he does a podcast. There were no guests. He doesn't prepare. He's recording it on his phone. How is this any different from a phone conversation that he might have with his mother? And the mother's not even on the other end of the phone. I think that this case should be dismissed, Your Honor. And if people feel like, my client should be punished for, quote unquote podcasting at an ungodly hour, consider this. Look at how this man lives. He's within an inch of being doused by water from his own roof. He has one podcast listener, maybe two. And it's entirely possible that both of them are bots, not even real people. Don't you think that he is already being punished? That his life in and of itself is punishment enough? Do we need to add anything to it at this point? If anything, Your Honor, I think we should condemn him to continue to podcast like this. And force him to do this week after week after week with no results for 40 more years. And if anybody, is annoyed with the noise, once they understand the circumstances, they can sit there and go, yeah, that's right. There he is, just spinning in his own hamster wheel, thinking that this is the kind of content that people actually want to tune into week after week after week. That got dark. Well, this is good. You know what? 26 minutes. I feel like I'm getting back up to my strength. I'm feeling better about this. But I think this is enough. This is good. I like this. This is enough.